You have a beard, therefore you must be wise. Do you have advice for young people, high school, college, about how to carve their path through life? How to have a life, a career that's successful, that they can be proud of, or a life they can be proud of?
Man. See, this is what sucks about my life is that it's been very random and very spontaneous. So unfortunately, I don't get that thing where I could be like, well, here's what I did.
Yeah.
Because it's like, I don't like I inherited $12,000 from my grandmother. Here's what you do, kids. You inherit $12,000 when your grandmother dies. And then you need to be dumb enough to think that that $12,000 is going to help you live in LA for a year. So then what you do is you move to LA with $12,000 and you find a shitty place that you live at. And then you use that money to buy acid and synthesizers. And then you run out of the money and then you and then you have to get a job.
Yeah.
And so then, because you think it'll be fun to work at a comedy club, you get a job at the comedy store. And then, that's how it happened for me. And I was never had the confidence to be like, oh, I'm going to be a stand-up comedian. No way. I just thought it'd be cool to work in that building. I thought the building looked cool. And so, but then cause you work at the comedy store, you get stage time. It's the reason you work there is, at least in those days, because it's not like they're paying a shit ton of money for you to answer phones at a comedy club. And so, I started going on stage, and then I just got lucky because Rogan saw me have a very rare good set. I didn't know he was in the room or I would have bombed, and then because he thought I was funny and he liked talking to me, he started taking me on the road with him. And then, so I don't know, man. I think,
Was there an element to, there's a beautiful weirdness to you as a human being? Was there a pressure to conform ever, to hide yourself from the world? Did the $12,000 and the acid give you the confidence you needed to be yourself?
oh no, I don't no, I think sure there's that pressure. And whenever you're beginning to really differentiate from your parents, but then you go back to hang out with your parents, you can feel that it's not like they even want you to conform, but you could slip into that, whatever that was. So I remember that when I would go back and visit them and stuff, and surely conformity or the pressure to not be individual or whatever, it's everywhere, man.
Do you think you made your parents proud? No,
I
no,
don't
no, no.
I think that when my mom died, I felt successful in the sense that I was able to support I was making money from doing stand up, and I didn't need help. I was supporting myself with art and doing good, what I thought was great then. So, and I think she because she had witnessed me literally failing. I mean, which is, by the way, I think part of, if you want to be an artist or successful, you kind of have to fail. If there was a guaranteed route from sucking to not sucking, or from like the neophyte phase of whatever the art form is, and some intermediary phase, then I think a lot more people would do it. But there really is no guarantees in it, especially with stand-up comedy. It's like you'd have to be a maniac to want to think that that's going to work out for you. You have to. So you're gonna. There are obviously exceptions, but for me, it was a long slog, and that's scary for a mom. So, but that being said, when she was dying, she did recognize that I was not slogging anymore. And she did say, she said, "You did it." And that's cool. But I would love for her to see me now. Now it'd be way cooler. But maybe she does. I don't know.
She's listening to your podcast elsewhere in
In the Bardo.
yeah, yeah. However long that lasts, reconfiguring the whole process to start again. You as a father now, how did that change you?
Yeah, that's the big change, man. That's the thing.
You made a few biological
I reproduced.
entities.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I made biological entities. I mean, I came in my wife. Let's face it. Like I would love to say I made them, but the womb whipped them up.
Right.
But it is it's the best. I've never experienced anything like it before. It is as far as I'm concerned, the greatest thing that has ever happened to me. And that's why I was able to answer your Nietzsche question with like, hell yes, fuck yes. That's great. I get to be around my kids again. I'll always be around my kids. I'll always be around my children. That's incredible. That's the joy. So for me, the part of myself that used to torture myself more, like around like my mom dying, feeling like I wasn't there enough for her, wishing that I had spent more time with her, wishing I'd spent more time with my dad, wishing that like, looking back at like how like I was just so desperately trying to evade the fact that she was dying, and in that evasion successfully like distanced myself from her and like in ways that I really wish I hadn't. uh I'm just saying that because it's one of my regrets. It's like a big regret. I have a lot of little regrets, but that's a big one. And so when you have kids, uh, you look back at everything you did and you think like, fuck, if I'd gone left at that point instead of right, if I had eaten, who knows, what if I'd eaten like a turkey sandwich when my balls were creating the cum that was going to make my kids? Would I have a different kid? Would this being not exist in my life? Like you start looking at everything and you realize like, oh, thank God. Thank God for every single thing that happened to me because it all led up to this. And for me, that's that it's like it frees you and it liberates you because you realize like, oh wow, as clumsy and selfish and at times rotten as I've been in my life, that did not impede the universe at all from allowing these two beautiful beings to exist in the world.
Or
So
maybe all of it enabled, all of it like a concert perfectly led up to that little beautiful moment. Is there ways you would like to be a better father?
oh yeah, for sure. Absolutely. There's a actual I read something in a book. It's called Good Enough. The mantra for a parent, good enough. Because when you are in the presence of something you love more than you've ever experienced love, you 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 want to be perfect. Like you want to be, I got to work, man. I got to go on the road. I've got to work. I got to support the family. So that means I have to work. Like I work, you know what it's like having a podcast. You fucking work, man.
Mm.
And it's a full-time job because I do stand up too and all the other stuff. So I feel sometimes I feel like, oh my God, I want to spend more time with them. Like I should be spending more time with them. But then also I want to create, I want to work. I like being the provider. So that's something I feel guilty about, right
And you're
now.
struggling how to balance that
Yes.
correctly. And meanwhile, time just marches on.
It just goes. It goes.
And all of this will be forgotten. Both you and I, but forgotten in time.
That's what I say to them every time I'm putting them to bed. We we will be lost in the sands of time. You know that I bet you know this poem.
Mm.
You know that poem Ozymandias?
Yes.
Can I read you a poem? Oh, okay.
If we let's end our conversation in a poem.
I love it. It's by Pierce Bysshe Shelley, probably mispronouncing the name, but I
There's
think
no
you'll
right
get.
way to pronounce
Thank
anything.
you, thank you. I'm Ozymandias. I met a traveler from an antique land who said, Two vast and trunkless legs of stone stand in the desert. Near them, on the sand, half sunk, a shattered visage lies, whose frown and wrinkled lip and sneer of cold command tell that its sculptor well those passions read, which yet survive, stamped on these lifeless things, the hand that mocked them and the heart that fed. And on the pedestal these words appear: My name is Ozymandias, King of Kings. Look on my works, ye mighty, and despair. Nothing beside remains around the decay of that colossal wreck. Boundless and bare, the lone and level sands stretch far away.
All gone. Behold the king.
Look on my works, ye mighty, and despair.
And despair. Even though it will be forgotten in the sands of time, Duncan, I'm just so glad that you exist and you put so much love into the world over the past many years that I've gotten a chance to enjoy by being your fan. And
Likewise.
thank you so much for continuing that and for sharing a bit of love with me today.
Can we be friends?
Let's be friends.
In real time, in the real world, in 3D space?
Nothing is real, but yes, in this particular slice of the multidimensional world we live in, it will be an honor and a pleasure.
Thank you for having me on your show.
I love you, Duncan.
I love you. Thank you, Lex.